morning, and welcome to our fourth lounge. Good morning. Welcome to our fourth lounge room webinar today. Before we jump into it, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land on which this virtual conference is being hosted, and the traditional custodians of the various lands where we are linking in from today. I would also like to pay my respect to elders past, present, and future, for they hold the memories, traditions, culture, hopes, and aspirations of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. My name is Rick, and I will be your host today. I am the Customer Relations Officer with Churches of Christ. I look after Darling Downs and West Moreton area, and my role within the company is to help people navigate and access aged care. Today we are here with Jahmilla from Boonah Dietitian. Jahmilla has completed a 3-year degree in health science on the Gold Coast. During this time, she began to really notice her family and friends were suffering from health issues that were not manageable but preventable. When Jahmilla uncovered that most of the health issues were diet and food related, she knew that nutrition and dietetics was something she would love to study further. She completed the 2-year postgrad certification and is now practicing as accredited practicing dietitian. Jahmilla will present on seniors nutrition for us today. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can send us a text, and towards the end of the presentation, we will be responding to all of your questions. The number to send text is 0455 125 697. Again, the number is 0455 125 697. We are excited to be here with Jahmilla today, and I will pass over to her.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you to Churches of Christ for inviting me today. And hello to everybody who is tuned in. Hopefully you'll walk away from today with a little bit more knowledge on seniors nutrition. So my name again is Jahmilla. I'm talking about seniors nutrition. I'm talking about living better and longer. So let's get into it. Why is nutrition for seniors so important? So as people age, their nutritional needs change. Older adults need more of certain things and less of others. So for example, calcium we need more of and less of things like overall calorie intake. While each person's specific dietary needs may be largely depending on people's personal tastes and things like that, there are some golden rules of seniors nutrition that people should consider in their golden years of life, I guess. So I'm going to talk about the 7 sins of seniors nutrition. So number 1 is seniors don't need to worry about their diet. So it's never too late for anybody to start eating healthier. No matter what your age, you can always reap the benefits of eating a healthy, well-balanced diet. So that includes things like plenty of fruit and vegetables and plenty of protein and plenty of water. So just as younger adults, older adults, the better you eat, the better you're likely to feel as well. Even if you have already developed a chronic illness, so even if you already have diabetes or heart disease, if you improve your diet, you can also improve your quality of life, and you can manage those chronic diseases a lot better than if you aren't eating as well. So sin number 2 is you need fewer nutrients after you reach your 60s. So it is true that typically you need fewer calories than younger adults. However, older adults need more of certain vitamins, including vitamin D and vitamin B12. So vitamin D is because when we get vitamin D from the sunlight, and your body's ability to produce vitamin D in your body decreases when you get older, as well as their body's ability to absorb vitamin B12 also declines. So even though we need fewer calories and overall sort of energy from foods, we do need to consider the fact that we do need more things like vitamin D and B12. Okay, sin number 3 is excess weight isn't a problem for older adults. So excess weight and obesity is always going to be a serious health concern for all Australians, and that includes seniors. So being overweight not only makes you less likely to enjoy a more active and energetic lifestyle and quality of life, but it also raises your likelihood of possibly developing chronic diseases. So you might also be higher risk of getting type 2 diabetes, heart diseases, or strokes as well. Okay, so sin number 4 is skipping meals and avoiding meals is okay. So even though many seniors experience a loss of appetite, it is never a good idea to skip meals. So skipping meals comes with its own set of problems. So that includes your blood sugar levels going really low, and you can feel really tired and maybe even dizzy sometimes. And then as soon as you do eat something, your blood sugar will shoot up really high, and that's never a good thing either. So avoiding and skipping meals can also cause your appetite to decrease. So if you already have a low appetite, if you avoid and skip meals, you'll end up feeling less hungry, basically. And that could also lead to things like being malnourished. And that can be very dangerous, and it's more common when we get older as well. So the best thing to do is to eat something nutritious, or eat something whenever it is a meal or a snack time. Just eat something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you can. Okay, so number 5 is you only need to drink water when you're thirsty. So people need to drink water before they feel thirsty, and that is to avoid dehydration. So dehydration can be caused by many things, and they include medications. They can be caused by the lack of thirst, which is really common in older adults, and they can be caused by a decrease in the function of your kidneys. So if it happens to you, you could suffer from things like, so if you get dehydrated, you can suffer from confusion, difficulty walking, a rapid heart rate, and your blood pressure could really drop, as well as other health problems as well. So drinking water is very important, not just when you're thirsty. Okay, so number 6 is supplements are sufficient. So even though supplements can be very helpful for us if we seem like we can't reach the amounts of vitamins and nutrients that we need just from food, but supplements is never a good idea to just try and live off alone, basically. So even though you could, theoretically, I suppose, just live on supplements, what kind of life would that be, you know? So people who rely entirely on supplements may often also experience side effects, and they can include constipation or diarrhea, or even getting malnourished as well. So another thing is that relying too heavily on supplements for your nutrition means you're more likely to miss out on one of life's greatest pleasures, which is dining with friends and family. Okay, so sin number 7, the last one, is there is no downside to eating alone. So many older adults who eat alone every day may experience increased feelings of loneliness or even stress or anxiety. So older adults who eat alone are also less likely to be eating healthy and eating balanced meals. So older adults who eat alone miss out on the friendships and conversations that take place around the table when you're sitting and eating with friends and families and loved ones. So whenever you can eat with somebody, then that's always a good idea. It'll help lots of different aspects of your life. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is protein and how important protein is, particularly when we get older, above 60, 65 years old. So protein is a part of food that helps build and maintain our muscles. So protein can be found in meats, fish, eggs, nuts, things like legumes and beans and things like that as well. And it helps build our muscles. It helps build and strengthen our immune system. So that kind of helps us fight from illnesses and diseases and things like that, and infections. Protein allows us to recover and rehabilitate quicker if we have had an accident. And having more protein in your diet also lowers the risks of you having falls and injuries as well. And that's relating to how protein helps build our muscles and things. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about 3 dietary guidelines that is based on lots of research in Australia on seniors. Okay, so the first one is to for older people to eat nutritious food and keep physically active to help maintain muscle strength and a healthy weight. So achieving and maintaining a healthy weight can keep older people more active, manage their health problems better, and to live a fuller life. The best way to do this is to follow the recommended number of serves for the 5 food groups and to avoid the extra serves of discretionary foods and drinks. And we'll talk more about that very soon. However, we do know that people who are above 65 years old, if you have a little bit extra weight, only a little bit of extra weight, then that can be a healthy thing for you. And that is because if you're too thin and being malnourished, that can increase risk of falls and things like that. So having a little bit of extra weight, the healthy weight range for 65 years old and older is actually a little bit bigger than 65 years and under. Okay? And that is, excuse me, and that is because we want to really avoid malnutrition when we get older. And if you want to talk more about this particularly, then it's a good idea to talk to your health professional. Okay, so dietary guideline 2 is to enjoy a wide variety of nutritious foods from the 5 food groups every day. Every day. So circumstances, health problems, budgets, eating issues can mean our range of the foods that we eat gets smaller and smaller as we get older. However, it remains important to eat widely from the 5 food groups, which we'll talk about next. And so if you ever have to troubleshoot some certain issues that you might be coming across, so we'll talk about that now. So that will be things like budget. So if your budget is limited, you want to make sure that you're planning well, you're using what's available, and you only buy what you need. So never go shopping when you're hungry. That's one of the good things to do. If you're cooking for one, then collect some healthy but quick and easy ideas. Try to organize to eat regularly with friends and family when you can as well. And if nuts or grains or hard fruits or vegetables, especially if it has a skin on it, is a problem for your teeth, then get milled whole grains, or if they're mashed up a little bit more, or soft or overly cooked or canned vegetables and fruits, just so that you can, or nut pastes, just so that you can manage it a bit better. And to be careful to follow the food safety guidelines, just to avoid getting food-borne illnesses. So be careful when you're reheating, frozen meats and that kind of thing, just to make sure that you're avoiding things like salmonella or listeria or things like that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 5 food groups. So this is a picture here of the Australian Dietary Guidelines. So we'll go into a little bit more detail. The first one is grains. So grains include things like rice, pasta, bread, cereals, wraps, things like that. And grains is really important because of the fiber, and the fiber helps us to go to the loo and avoid us from getting constipated. So the main thing we're talking about grains is going for whole grains rather than processed, or like the white rice or white pasta sort of version. And that is because in this picture here, whole grain compared to processed, whole grain has the bran. So the bran is this outer layer here, and the bran is very fiber rich. The bran has lots of vitamin Bs, which we talked about was very important, vitamin B12 in particular for older adults. And the bran has trace elements. Then the whole grain also includes this sort of circular bit here that's called the germ. And the germ includes lots of nutrients and antioxidants fats and healthy fats. So once we process the whole grain to become a processed version, so like the white rice or white pasta or white bread, we still have this bit on the middle, this yellow bit, the endosperm, which is very carbohydrate rich. And carbohydrates are also very important for us as well. But some of the other really important things for us is taken out when we have just the processed version. So I hope this helps to explain why whole grain or whole meal is always the best option when we are having grain food group. Okay. So the next one we have is vegetables. So we all know what vegetables are. I've got some really great examples here. So I've got some tomato, eggplant, carrots, sweet potato, avocado, capsicum, broccoli. So it's a really good example, especially what we have in front of us for vegetables, is we always want to have a variety of vegetables. So I personally, when I'm having dinner, sorry, don't touch the mic there, sorry. For when I'm having dinner, to always try and have lots of colours, so a variety of vegetables. I like to try and aim for 3 colours. So my 3 colours, for example, are green, like spinach or broccoli or something, or zucchini. I like to have orange, so pumpkin or carrot or sweet potato. And another colour, which could be anything, it could be purple, eggplant, it could be, yellow or whatever other colour. So always try and aim for 3 colours. That's what I always do at home. Okay, the next one we have is fruit. So fruit is very important as well. If you can manage it, always try and keep the skin on the fruit, that you can manage if you can. So for things like apples or pears or peaches, try and keep the skin on. And it's kind of like the whole grain sort of thing, where the skin has lots of the nutrients and the fiber as well. So if you can manage the skin, then try and keep that on as well. The next food group is dairy. So that includes milk, yogurt. We have an example of yogurt here. Cheese and dairy, so lactose-free versions, or soy milk or almond milk. All of the kind of things that you can get calcium from is the most important thing that we get from dairy, and that's why dairy is important for us. Helps keep our bones strong and healthy as well. And the last food group is protein. So that includes red meat, white meat, so things like chicken, turkey, duck, fish, seafood, eggs, nuts, things like legumes as well. And these all give us protein, which we talked about helps with our muscles and our immune system and things like that. So protein is very important for us as well. Okay, so then we have Dietary Guideline 3, and that is to limit the intake of foods and drinks that contain fat, added salt, added sugar, and alcohol. So it's always good to limit the amount of saturated fat in particular, added salt, so avoid adding salt to your meals when you can. That's when I use my dried, that's when you use other things instead. Avoid adding sugars, avoid using or having alcohol when you can, and try and have high fiber options. So avoid getting low fiber options as well. And that's things like the white rice and the white bread and things like that. However, older adults are more likely to be living with chronic diseases, and that means that their self-management might involve careful attention. So being careful when you are choosing your foods. So sometimes limiting fats and salt and sugar may mean that you're avoiding a large part of your normal diet, which might lead to things like malnutrition and cutting out lots of food groups from your diet. So we want to make sure that to avoid the risk of malnutrition, you're always being careful and getting help from a health professional if you need to, and talking about the risk and benefits of that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was how fiber and water is very important, especially when we get older and our bowels can tend to slow down with age. So fiber and water are very important with avoiding getting constipated and things like that. And yes, that is all I had to talk about for today. Did we have any questions, Rick?
Sure, yeah. I think I could hear the phone getting some messages. And there are actually a few messages here, and I'll read it out to you.
Yes.
So the first question is, could you explain the 5-star health ratings that you find on boxes? Should we base our choices of these rankings?
Yes, good question. So the 5-star health rating is generally based on the amount of sugar. So we talk about sugar, fat, and salt that is included in packaged products. So things like fruit and vegetables won't have a star rating. It's packaged products, so things we get in a packet or a box or things like that. And it's generally based on the higher stars you have. So if you have 4 or 5 stars, it usually has less salt, less sugar, less fat, and maybe more fiber in it as well. However, I do know that I think last year or this year, the health star rating is going to be reviewed. So we'll just have to keep an eye on if anything like that changes. But generally speaking, it's a good thing to look at if we are looking for the 5-star health rating, and always try and aim for obviously the higher numbers. So 3 out of 5, maybe not, but 4 or 5 out of 5 are going to be good options.
Sure.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I guess always aim for the higher stars, and you are on the safe side.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Generally speaking.
The second question here is asking, what are your top 3 pantry staples?
Top 3 pantry staples. Okay, let me think. I always have oats in my cupboard. It's a good snack to have in there, and oats have a really high amount of fiber in that, which fiber is good for everybody. I love having porridge, that's really good, easy, nice snack. Sometimes I have porridge for a dessert even. So oats is one of them. Another one would be dried Italian herbs. So things like dried rosemary and oregano, like one of those mixtures you get like in one of those jars. And I kind of use that as a flavoring to add to my meals if I'm having spaghetti or like a cottage pie, or rather than adding salt or any other those other sort of flavoring things that might not be as good for us, like garlic salt and that kind of thing. Sure. Adding dried herbs gives it flavor, but nothing bad comes with it, so that's good.
That is really a good tip. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, there was 3, wasn't it? Okay. The last one would be canned tuna, I think. I always have canned tuna in the cupboard, and that's just because it's a nice, easy, and a bit of a lazy way for me to have a snack that you can put on crackers or toast or anything. And
we can have as many tunas in our cupboards.
I know.
Fix,
I have quite a big stack actually.
Oh, I do it too. It's an easy diet, when you're really needing something. Here is a very interesting question. It's asking, what is the craziest diet you have heard of?
There's a lot of crazy diets out there, I think.
Interesting.
Okay. There's 2 that really screams out at me that seem quite crazy to me. The first one is, it's called something like a cotton ball diet or something. Okay. And people basically eat cotton balls, like those cotton balls that you can use to clean things with and whatnot. You basically eat cotton balls, and that is supposed to sort of make you not feel hungry, like I guess reduce your appetite or something, and make you not want to eat anything. I'm not a doctor, and I don't really, I can't say that I know that side of things, but I can't imagine that having cotton balls in your stomach is a good thing.
Can't see it. I mean, unless you dip it with something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, wow.
The other one that I found was really crazy was some kind of like a water with lemon juice, which sounds okay, but add like cayenne pepper and maybe pepper or something as well, and they just have this sort of brown looking drink for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like just this drink, no food,
just cayenne
this
pepper drink.
Yeah, it's some kind of weird.
Okay.
And I'm sure that'll wreak havoc on your going to the toilet and things as well. So that scared me a little bit when I heard about that one.
Definitely sounds crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't believe people are making such drinks. And that's supposed to be a supplement to a diet.
I mean, it's to
instead.
lose weight, you know. If you're
Wow.
not eating anything, then the fat's going to just fall off, isn't it? So,
Okay, wow.
so yes.
All right, well, then there's one more question. This would be
Okay.
the last one.
Okay.
It's asking, is there any groups available for anyone who wants to avoid getting chronic diseases?
I do have one actually.
Ah,
So I have a program that's called My Health for Life, and it's a group program which can be held in an actual physical group, or if we're wanting to kind of keep our distance for all the social distancing things, we can have it over the phone, or we can have a video sort of call depending on what suits everybody. And this program is basically talking about how we can avoid getting diabetes, strokes, and heart diseases. And we have booklets that we work through together, and we talk about things. It's very casual, very nice and social, I suppose. And the best thing about it is that it's completely free.
that's good.
Yeah, so if anybody listening would like to know more about it, you can give me a call or an email or something. My details should be there
Sure.
at the end.
What
Yeah.
we do is, just for everyone's information, after the end of this program, for everyone who's registered with us, we will send you a round of email, and that email will contain all of this along with Jahmilla's contact address. And should anybody wants to contact her, feel free to give her a buzz and plan all of this.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that'll happen.
Excellent.
All right, well, thank you so much. A lot of good information today.
Thank you.
That was the end of all the questions. Thank you all for tuning into our webinar today. As this is the fourth webinar in our series, we have a number of interesting and informative speakers for the remainder of the year. The webinars are held on the last Friday of each month, with the next webinar being held on Friday the 30th of October from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with Alana and Mel from the Retirement Living team at Churches of Christ. For more information, please head online to www.cofc.com.au/webinar. I would like to thank Jahmilla for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye now.